Hello friends, my name is Brian Gray. I'm a teacher of Anthroposophical Studies at Rudolf Steiner College in Fair Oaks, California. I would like to share with you today my discovery about the relationship between the 7 planetary seals, which Rudolf Steiner designed for the Munich Congress of 1907. One can find the details in the book Rosicrucianism Renewed. And what we find that Rudolf Steiner designed these 7 seals representing the different stages of consciousness and the different stages of cosmic evolution. What I've discovered is effectively this, friends, that Rudolf Steiner has presented these seals as part of the program of the initial program in Munich 1907. And the Congress opened on a Saturday, and Rudolf Steiner presented the Saturn seal as part of the program. The second day was a Sunday. There we have the Sun seal. The third day was a Monday. There we have the Moon seal. The fourth day was a Tuesday. There we have the Mars seal. And then the Congress ended on a Wednesday, which was Mercury. So Rudolf Steiner then, in his summary statement, mentioned that these 7 planetary seals had to do with the great stages of cosmic evolution, and one who contemplates them will begin to understand something of the mysteries of cosmic evolution and of human evolution as well. So what I've discovered is the way that the seals have appeared in the program makes more sense if one turns in relationship to the Saturn seal, one turns the way Sun and Moon and Mars and Mercury were presented in the original program. There will also be a future Jupiter and future Venus, which he adds later. Now what we find is, as we look at these different symbols and these different seals, we begin to find something really quite remarkable. That as Rudolf Steiner has described in chapter 4 of Esoteric Science and Outline, that the human being initially on ancient Saturn, which the Saturn seal represents, the primary part of the human being that was being formed was the physical body, which consists of warmth. And that physical body came about through the offering and the sacrifice of beings coming from the periphery. So in each of the drawings, the periphery is a realm of the spiritual world pouring its substance in toward the center. And we find on Saturn that spiritual beings have initially poured forth substance. We know them as the thrones, who have poured forth the substance that has become the warmth of the physical body, which we there see in these radiating 7 lines of warmth. So one could say that this is essentially the physical body of warmth on Saturn. But hovering above it is this form, which in fact is the beginning of an etheric body, which will not be able yet to come to full development. But the etheric body is also coming from the periphery. Although it looks like it's a series of rays, in fact it's a series of wave fronts descending in, one upon the other, and they're intersecting. So we have the beginning of an etheric wave front approaching the physical body, but not yet taken up. In addition to that, another group of spiritual beings had begun to contribute an astral body, which will also not yet be able to be incorporated on Saturn. So what we see here is coming from the periphery, a physical body of warmth, the beginning of an etheric body, which has not been taken up, and the beginning of an astral body. So this is the Saturn seal. Now, as we move from Saturn to the second stage of the Sun, we see that whereas the main contributors were coming from these directions in space, we find that the physical body of warmth now has been cloaked in an etheric body. So now we have a physical body which has taken up an etheric body and moved from a radial warmth body into a body of warmth and air, which has incorporated life into it. So one could say that what was the etheric body here in relationship to the physical body has been taken up and incorporated into a physical body of warmth, air, with the etheric body attached. We then see that the astral body, which was on the periphery of Saturn, the astral body has descended inward and become this form. So this is the form that was on the periphery on Saturn. We now see it has descended to this position, and something new is coming in from the periphery with a particular continuation of a directional principle coming from these 7 particular directions. So what we see on the Sun, a physical body of warmth and air with a life body, an astral body which is still transparent, and the beginning of an ego organization hovering above, which will not yet be able to be incorporated, but it belongs to the future on the sun. Then as we move to the moon stage, if we get a further evolution, we find that the physical body of warmth and air now has become denser, and it is condensed from physical warmth and air to fluid, to a watery condition. So the physical body in the center now has taken up warmth, air, and fluid nature. The astral body, which is these moon chalices, which in a certain sense begin to enclose the physical body and being receptive to something, they are the further evolution of these open aspects of the astral body, which have now become closed around the physical and etheric body. So we have a human being of a physical and etheric body in the center with an astral body receptive to the ego-organizing principle which is appearing here. So this is the peripheral form which is continuing to descend in. And we begin to see hovering above the chalice of the moon, the astral body, the promise in the future of a threefold principle which belongs to the ego organization, which will not yet be able to be taken fully up into the moon human being. We also begin to see the guiding principle who has been sending these influences beginning to appear at the periphery of the moon as these 7 wavefronts. Now when we go from the moon stage to the Mars stage, we find that this guiding principle, which was there at the periphery, has now begun to become even more active, and it begins to direct the uniting of the physical and the etheric and the astral body, which begins to unite and also begins to bring them into a new relationship in such a way that the human being begins to be enclosed within the physical body of warmth, air, fluid, and solid substance, with an etheric body and an astral body taken up, and the beginning of the ego organization incorporating itself. However, we see that the seed of the ego is still deeply buried within the astral body. That's one way of imagining it. This is a human being with the ego still deeply enclosed in the center. So the ego has not yet blossomed at the Mars stage, which is the beginning of Earth evolution. But one also begins to feel that this being, who has brought about the fusion and the preparation of the physical body and the etheric body and the astral body for the I to blossom, that this being will then unite with the human being and with the Earth, which we see in the Mercury stage, which is the second half of Earth evolution. And we see that this form, the Logos form, where the Aries, the Christ being, is basically uniting everything, now descends into the Earth itself, uniting everything, and becomes the basis of the individual self, which now lifts itself up into an upright form as an ego bearer. Now we see individual human beings with a physical and etheric body and an astral body and an I, and brought into a new relationship of wisdom, these serpents of wisdom incorporating their relationship one to another. So we see here on the Mercury stage the beginning of individuality and freedom and clarity and the capacity for compassion and freedom and love to emerge, and also the beginning of a fusion through the karmic relationships to build the future which will become future Jupiter and future Venus, which are yet to happen. So as we contemplate these 7 planetary sequences, and there are more details in the paper which I've written that will help you understand them, I hope that this particular orientation will begin to give you a sense of their relationship to the human evolution, and in particular thinking about them in this way. As Rudolf Steiner wanted us to do, he said, if we really contemplate these forms, we will begin to awaken thoughts about these different stages of evolution which we need to begin to consciously participate in. So I'd like to thank you for your watching this presentation, and I hope that you will look at the paper. And if you would like to stay a little bit longer, there is also a graphic which will emerge. Thank you.